What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy ZB over here at Three Man Weave. I'm one of the lovely co-hosts with the other lovely co-host, CJ. We coming at you guys live on a Wednesday. It's October 29th. We know we're behind a little bit on the pods, but we're trying to roll them out as fast as possible. CJ, we have a great day today, man. We got NBA Hoops Wednesday. It's on ESPN prime time. How are you feeling today, man? I know you in the building. Been talking for like 30 minutes, but how you feeling today, my man?
Man, I'm feeling good, bro. Got the 5-0, so can't complain. Games have been a little
Yeah,
tight,
yeah.
but we've had a lot of injuries, and it's been good basketball just throughout the whole league. Regardless of if the my team is playing or whatever. It's been trying to watch as much as I can, watching the condensed games, just to kind of get a better feeling of it, and it's been good, bro. It's been super locked in this season. We've been trying to pump out these episodes, pretty much right after we record. I try to get them done, posted, and then get the thumbnails working on. But like it's been great, bro. It's been a great season, and when you're undefeated to start the season, it's not too bad as well. So no complaints over here, brother. How you doing though?
I'm good, man. Lakers play tonight. I had a couple injuries, but yeah, no, I was just at work. I had a meeting doing this, so I had a pretty full day, bro. But I think it's a blessing. It's an opportunity. I think just to be able to compete against yourself and try to outdo yourself from yesterday. But yeah, as far as NBA goes, bro, I think I'm excited. I I'm a little bit nervous. We'll talk about it, but yeah, I think we have NBA Cup. We have some other things going on. I can't really complain. I think with our current situation, at least with the Lakers, it's tough because with the injuries, but I think a lot of teams are injured. So I try not to make that an excuse. And if we're losing games, I told you they count for your dynasty, bro. They count for the NBA too. Like this is not a game anymore, man. So that's kind of where my head is at.
Mm-hmm. Hell
You
yeah,
feel me?
bro.
Like I'm not on wishful thinking right now. It's no longer preseason, so I'm just trying to watch these games and like see what it is. I've been kind of disappointed with my squad, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, AR's looking great though. Can't complain about that, right? It's just when everyone else gets back
Nah,
healthy, just seeing what that your roster looks like with the full healthy squad, brother. So I understand. I get it.
yeah, it's disappointing, but NBA Cup's right around the corner. I think it's on Halloween. First few games. I know you don't. The Thunder don't play till the 7th of November. They play the Kings. Um, but yeah, let's get right into it, man. I think NBA Cup. For people who don't know, we've been covering this the last two seasons on Three Man Weave. This is our third season doing it. It's been a blessing to kind of have been in the podcast rhythm whenever this started. Very thankful for Adam Silver and the commissioner, the NBA's commissioner, putting this in, making it kind of like a soccer style tournament. It's an elimination style. There's obviously 30 teams in the NBA. I think they're split into six groups, five teams of each. And I think there's three groups in the East, three groups in the West. And I'm gonna roll over and just tell you guys the groups real quick. That way we can just get that out of the way. Group A on the East is Atlanta, Cleveland, so the land, Detroit, Indy, and of course the 76ers. And all of those teams are pretty competitive. Like Group A out of the East, CJ looked pretty nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty dope. We have the court graphic up right now so we can see it. But this group looks to be one of the more competitive ones, I would say. So just starting off Group A in the East, going again, Atlanta, Cleveland, Detroit, Indy, 76ers. Moving on to Group B, we got Charlotte, who kind of been low-key our darlings, bro. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to lie. Me and CJ have been trying to catch League Pass. They got a crazy announcer, super
Yes.
dope team. But yeah, I've been following the Hornets a little bit. Heat, obviously, is a pretty dope team. Milwaukee. Milwaukee's in this group, Group B, New York, and then Washington. So Group B is a little bit more top heavy. I'm probably picking the Knicks to win Group B if they're competing, but I think the Wizards and the Hornets will be showing up, bro.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
think that'll
like
be
I
an
feel like
interesting matchup because it's the
yeah,
young kids on the block trying to prove themselves and show us what they can really do in a competitive setting for basketball. Because more than likely their teams probably Charlotte might, but I don't think the Wizards are making the playoffs. So I think it's a good opportunity for them to be on center stage and showing everyone what they're made of.
yeah, like Kaishan George and Sar and Kispert, like they had a nice little squad. Trey Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
they should be pretty competitive. Moving on to Group C, this is the last group in the Eastern Conference. We got the Boston Celtics, who just got their recent win against the Pellies. the Brooklyn Nets, the Chicago Bulls, who are still undefeated, by the way, 3-0, the Orlando Magic, who have been struggling a little bit, and the Toronto Raptors. So that group is also pretty competitive, even though there's like not as strong of teams in that group as A. I'd say A is obviously the group of death, if you want to call it that. But Orlando, bro, can they turn it around? Can Brooklyn be competitive? I actually picked Brooklyn 2 years ago when they had McCall Bridges, Cam Johnson, and they didn't end up doing crap, jack squat. So hopefully they do a little bit more this year. And I think the Boston Celtics will be a sneaky group as well. So that wraps up the East. Those are the three, 15 teams in the East in those three groups. I'll have CJ break down the West since
Yeah,
the Thunder and the Lakers are there.
of course. Yeah. So, like he was saying, there's three groups in the East. There's also three groups in the West. Group A is the Lakers, Grizzlies, Suns, Trailblazers, and Jazz. That's an interesting one. I think this is y'all's to lose, honestly. I think y'all are probably the best team overall, when healthy and everything. Portland has played y'all pretty well these first couple games. So I think that's going to be a good matchup for y'all. But Grizzlies, Suns, I mean, from what we've been seeing with the Suns, haven't seen them super healthy with Jalen Green yet, but looking not that great. And then the Jazz could probably be one of those like sneaky teams in this group.
Yeah,
They're gonna compete. Like I was saying with the Hornets and the Wizards, same situation for them. More than likely not gonna make the playoffs, but this will be an opportunity for them to play competitive basketball in the middle of the season. So good group, but I think the Lakers end up getting this one. I think that's y'all's group to lose. Group B, we got the Mavs, Nuggets, Rockets, Clippers, and Pels. This is a really good group from top to bottom. I think the West is just kind of stacked, so we don't really. It's
yeah.
kind of hard to say what group is better because I think all of these groups are great, to be honest. But um, I think this is one of the more competitive ones for sure. I think it's a little more competitive than y'all's. I think y'all are easily the hands down the best team. This one is kind of a toss up between the Nuggets and the Rockets. I think that's going to be the two competing for it. But don't be surprised if the Pels or the Mavs end up making a good run in the NBA Cup tournament. It's the group stages if they're able to get these wins, and obviously it's the point differential as well. So you gotta kind of win by a lot for it to actually mean more in these games. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a Pels. They went to the semis last year, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they've kind of, especially beginning of the season, Zion healthy. I think it's going to be an interesting group. I think that one's a good one. But I think I'm gonna go with the Nuggets, bro. I think the Nuggets are
The
gonna win.
Nuggets, yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
I think they're gonna win this group. And then Group C got the Warriors, Timberwolves, Thunder, Kings, and
Thunder.
Spurs. Man, I think this is, like I said, one of the better groups as well. I would say probably Kings are probably the worst team, but I think it's gonna be a battle between the Thunder and the Spurs, bro. I think the way that the Spurs have been playing with Wemby, hasn't really had the opportunity to play in big games yet. So this is it for him. And, the fact that that Chet and Wemby rivalry is gonna feed families, bro.
Growing, yeah.
It's gonna be huge, and
That's
especially
dope.
the way that both of them have been playing. Obviously, Wemby on another level, but Chet, taking a leap this season. I think it's gonna be a great battle. I think it's gonna be really the battle between us. But I have the Thunder winning this group as well, bro. So, but nonetheless, all these groups are fantastic, and can't wait to see what these matchups are looking like, bro. It's gonna be a
Yes,
be a
sir.
be a good one for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. And we're gonna save the cake for the end of the segment. Obviously, I'll ask CJ who he thinks he's gonna win. He'll ask me the same question. So we'll give that to you guys at the end. You got to stick through us with this one. But we're about to break down the tournament, the style, the format, how many rounds there are, everything like that, and the rules. So I'm about to get into it right now. Each team plays the other four teams in their group. So you know how there's five, because 5 times 6 is 30. So each team plays the other team in their group once. So there's four total group games. There's two at home and then two on the road. So during the group phase window, each team will have four games. Pretty simple. These games, this is a caveat here, these games will also count towards their regular season standings. Now, CJ, whenever Silver implemented this, the question that arose in those meetings for sure was, how is this going to impact their record? He actually ended up deciding, for it to count for the record. How do you feel about that, even though it's a separate tournament?
I like it because it kind of gives you more of a reason to play those games harder if being in a tournament wasn't already a big enough reason for you, because these games actually matter to your overall record besides the finals. Obviously, I know you're probably going to get to that, but I think it's cool. It adds another dynamic to it because yes, it's a part of a tournament that isn't the championship, right? But it's for your team's overall record to help you get a seeding for the playoffs, So I like
Yeah,
it. It
exactly.
adds a good dynamic to the games.
Yes, and like CJ said, alluded to, the championship game will not count towards your actual record. So they do give you a little bit of grace there if you are able to make it all the way. And we'll kind of talk about how that game works a little bit later. But after group play ends, this is where it gets fun. Okay, so 6 group winners will be chosen from each group. They'll advance. Additionally, one wild card team from each conference. So there will be 2 wild card teams, one from the West, one from the East, will also advance. Usually, the best remaining teams in each conference that did not win the group will be the wild cards, and that's kind of like you were talking about earlier, point differential. If you got a head-to-head win too, so let's say you beat the group winner, but the group winner won the group, you might be in the wild card since you actually beat the group winner. But there's
Hmm.
little nuances like that. Like CJ brought up, the point differential is the most important thing whenever they're looking at it. And honestly, it's we'll talk about it later in this segment whenever there's a situation where you tie on PD, but it's very rare to tie on point differential just based off of mathematics, right?
Right.
Most likely, if me and CJ both win, we probably won by a different number.
Hmm.
So that's why that little caveat is in there. But 2 wildcard teams will advance with all the other winners advancing as well. Um, this yields an 8-team single elimination bracket, 4 from each conference until the final. So that kind of rounds up group play and then rounds up how teams will be put into the knockout rounds. And then CJ will be breaking down the knockout rounds, kind of quarterfinals, semis, and then the finals.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So like ZD said, after you get past your group stage, you have your winners and then you have your wild card, and then you get into the quarterfinals. So the quarterfinals are played at the home courts of the higher seeded bracket teams. Regular season games count here too, like we mentioned earlier, and it's single game elimination. So those games matter, those
A lot.
especially,
Yeah, yeah.
we like we were saying, we have a graphic of all the courts. You have your home court a different way, so it gives it a different type of vibe. Has a trophy in the center. They're bringing that back as well in the finals, which they should have been had that. It's crazy that they
Yeah,
don't.
Larry O'Brien.
But
Yeah,
yeah, no. So it's a cool environment because I feel like it feels different
exactly.
because you see you'll look at your league pass, looking at these games, and you click on one and it's a regular court, and then you click on another one, it's like, oh, okay, these are the NBA Cup games. So it adds a cool dynamic to the
Exactly.
experience of the overall game and the atmosphere of it. So after the quarterfinals, obviously, is the semifinals. They're held at a neutral site recently at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and this is for the Final Four stages. So, the two teams from each conferences, battling it out to try to get to the finals, much like the Larry O'Brien NBA Finals. And then
Exactly.
after the semis is obviously the NBA Cup championship. So the actual championship game of the Cup does not count toward your regular season standings, and stats will also be held at a neutral site. So, um, yeah, no, it's we were able to be a part of that game last year. Went against the Bucks, fell a little short, but it didn't end up counting towards our record. Of course, it would have been nice to win that cup, but I think it's cool,
Facts
bro. I
didn't hurt
think
you.
it did for sure, but
Yeah, facts, facts.
think it was
Not a million
the
miles.
bigger goal in mind. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of why it's cool for if a younger team that probably has high hopes of making it to that point. It's a little far fetched, but it gives you an opportunity to be able to celebrate. So I'm hoping we see one of those type of teams make
Yeah,
it, because I feel like it would just mean a little more to them. Not saying it doesn't to all these other guys, but like the Thunder or the Spurs or these other teams, they're trying to. Spurs haven't won a chip in a while, but like they still are trying to get that experience, and their ultimate goal is to try to get that championship. But being able to
for
get a
sure.
trophy, in the middle of the season for something that just started, kind of being a part of the new history that's being made with this whole experience, I think it's dope, man. It's super, super dope of Adam Silver to bring something from other sports around the world to try to implement
Implement it.
it to
Yeah.
the NBA. I think it's a cool experience. So shout out to him, and I
Yes,
think this
sir.
is one of the better parts of the season. Like I said, it makes the games feel a little more important, and you kind of see these guys step up, and you're like, man, he did it in the NBA Cup.
Cup,
That's
right.
gonna be a saying we'll probably see, media
For
people will
sure,
start
bro.
saying soon, just because it's different.
Yeah.
It's a different type of vibe, so I like it. It's a
Yeah, and like you had alluded to, these stats do count for their NBA Cup stats. They're not for regular season, which is kind of gives it a different caveat. You can have, I think they do. There's like uh, if I'm not mistaken,
team
there is an MVP. Yeah, there's a team,
team
and I think
MVP.
there's an MVP of the Cup
Yeah.
championship. So there's a couple new awards that also are alongside this, which I think is cool too. You did a good job of explaining how Adam Silver wanted to implement something from outside of America, which is these round like they're the elimination March Madness style type of tournaments, and people love those. The single elimination, but I'm going to get into the tiebreakers, sort of the other rules that come with the NBA Cup, because there can be some crazy things that happen here whenever you get point differential involved. So if two or more teams finish the group with the same record, the following tiebreakers apply in this order. So I have them listed. Head-to-head record in the group. That was the first thing I told you. If CJ is the Thunder, I'm the Lakers. We finished second in the group, but I beat CJ, who ended up winning the group. I'll just go as the wild card because we already proved that we could beat a group winner. So you
Mm-hmm.
already get passed through. If that is not the case, if I didn't beat the Thunder, it now moves to point differential. So if the Lakers ended up having the second most point differential in that group, we would move on. And if that does not work, it would go to total points scored. So this is a little bit of a different caveat here because it does not include overtime. So they would just add up your total points against other teams and see how many points you had,
Mm.
right? And if you still are tied after all of that, then it would go to regular season record from last year. So this is where it's important to be a good team because if you end up getting to tiebreaker D, you want to make sure that you had a good record. For next year's NBA Cup, if some teams get all the way to tiebreaker D, they're going to look at this year's record.
Mm. That's
And
crazy.
if you're somehow still tied after that, because you could still be tied on record, it's a random drawing. So they have, A, B, C, D, E ways of deciding the tiebreaker, which is really cool. And I think it's really intricate. Because all of the group games are regular season games, there's incentive, obviously, to play them seriously. They're not going to rest their starters. There's point differential. So they're actually overs are really in favor here if you like to bet, just based off of the fact that the starters play all game
Mm-hmm.
just because of point differential. So if the Thunder are up 20, they still have Shea trying to score because you never know what could happen. And I think that's really cool too. So it adds a bit of a different dynamic to the NBA. And me and CJ are used to seeing the NBA Cup. Like we're not new to it, but for new listeners, we love you. Thank you. But that's the breakdown for you guys, man. The NBA Cup, it starts on the 31st. This tournament goes on for a little bit
Mm-hmm.
since they have those games. It'll probably take about a month to complete before we get into the knockout stages. So it should finish about the end of November.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like that they do that? Like how kind of like how soccer is, where they have like their regular league games and they'll have like a tournament in between. Do you like that? That's how
In
they
between,
also do the NBA Cup.
yeah, I like it. I was a little skeptical about it at first, to be honest with you, just because I didn't know how serious teams were going to play it. But like you said, the Lakers and the Bucks were the recent winners, with the Bucks playing the Thunder, who won the NBA championship. Like teams clearly are getting up for these types of games, and like you said, bro, I think you talked about it for like a minute or two, but the courts and like the atmosphere, I think people that's what the NBA is most concerned about. With all this mess of the streaming, can you watch the game? Can you do these? All of these games are nationally televised, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So people who don't get an opportunity on League Pass, like me and you, other viewers, listeners, you may not have the money for League Pass. That's fine. Still enjoy the game, man. Like, still do what you can to support our beautiful game of basketball. And I think the NBA Cup gives us another opportunity to do that. So I'm never against uh, gratis hoopes, which means free hoops in Latin.
Mm.
So I'm never against free hoops. But yeah, bro, that's a good question, man. Because 2 years ago, my answer would have been different. But
Right.
I think now that I've seen the teams and how they compete, and like, let's just get into it. Who do you think wins? That's the last thing we're gonna talk
That's
about.
a great question, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. You kind of said it earlier too before we started recording. I think the Thunder are gonna get this one, bro. I think it's gonna be something we lost in the finals last year, coming off that championship. I think this is gonna be just something
Care
else
about
that
it.
we're scratching off on the resume. You know what I mean? Oh, we were NBA Finals and we were NBA Cup the following season. I think it's something
Exactly,
that
bro.
we have the young guys, and by this point, J Dub is probably gonna be getting back into form, and I think this is gonna be a good atmosphere and situation for him to compete at a high level early on into the season after coming off that injury. I think he's going to make a huge difference. And I think it's something where we just have young guys that are we have a lot to prove even though we're the NBA champs. I think that's the mentality
Yeah,
that we have as a whole roster. So I think we end up getting this one, bro. I don't know who we would go against in the finals per se, but I think Thunder will get this NBA Cup this
Thunder
season.
up.
Thunder up,
Yeah,
man.
I hate to be. I'll pick somebody different than you because I agree 100%, and I would bet the Thunder. I'm gonna take the Spurs, bro. I feel like Wemby wants to be there and is gonna want to compete. I feel like they have the team to do it, and all those guys are young and they want to win something. And I think it could be their first taste of playoff basketball this season. I feel like the Spurs can end up winning 50 games if they continue on this path. And we know the Thunder are going to be there and they have championship pedigree, but why not give it to the underdogs? You know what I'm saying? I think the Spurs can end up making a little run. And for Carlos, when you listen to this one, bro, I got you, man. I feel like the Spurs are here, bro. They're no longer a team that's up and coming. I feel like they've arrived, and the league is just waiting on it. I feel like I know it, you may know it, but I feel like the NBA hasn't caught on to it just yet. But soon enough, I think Wemby will get a W. So I like it, bro.
I like that one. That's a
But
good pick.
yeah, man, I think I'm gonna go Spurs. You got Thunder, so that wraps up the NBA Cup. We're gonna move on to our Lakers Thunder analysis, as you guys know. Just an update on the three-man weave stories of the week. Ace Bailey ended up, he showed up, right? I mean, he got 8 points. Markkinen dropped 51. You want to talk about that? It hadn't happened in like 18 years or something, but Lowry Markkinen, we said it on the Jazz. He's bananas,
He's
brother. I
incredible.
don't think he'll get traded.
No.
I don't think the Jazz will want it. I think he's actually untouchable. I don't think he was last year, but now I just don't see him being traded. So I think that's kind of off the. But the point is, Ace Bailey showed up, had more than 0 points, got 8 points. So that's pretty good, bro. Celtics got a W. The 0-3 storyline was like, can they win? Can they do this? Ended up blowing out the Pelicans
Yeah.
on the road, right? Anthony Simons, Jalen Brown. Like they had that scoring. We talked about it. Were they going to be able to find the bench scoring? They actually had some nice bench scoring in that game. And then the LeBron Lakers injury. I'm about to get into that storyline right now, but can the Lakers figure it out without their superstars? And versus Portland, absolutely not, man. On October 27th, brother, we lost 127-108. My initial thoughts, bro. Denny Avdija is an all-star. I have it in my notes. If he continues to play this way, I just don't see how he's not, right? He's getting to 23. I have him 23, 5, and 4 on good efficiency, 23 and a half points. I think Scoot Henderson being out has given other players opportunities to take a step forward, and Denny's one of them. I think he came out with a ton of energy in that first quarter. They ended up beating us 28-24 in that first quarter, but I just noticed his energy. I think we're down our best guys, LeBron and Luka. We know AR, the 51-point performance, bro. He's no longer, JJ said it, he's no longer this undrafted skinny cat, right? Like nobody, AR's top of the scouting report now.
Mm-hmm.
He got the Kamara assignment, obviously, right? So I got Tumani Kamara, Drew Holiday. They're all locked in on AR, first quarter, and I think AR did a really good job of controlling the pace and still getting to the line. Knowing that we didn't have scorers, Jake LaRavia and company, Dalton Connect didn't get it going until the third, fourth quarter, man. You know what I'm saying? We just don't have that second line of scoring that we need. But I think Ayton and AR, they were building that good two-man game. I think going into that second quarter, the Blazers still put up 30 points. And that's another thing I have in my notes. Like, our defense is so streaky, bro. Like, at times we seem like we're really locked in. And I noticed it in the first quarter. There was a screen that Avdija came off of. Vando blitzed him, made a nice play, ended up getting a steal. But I'm like, bro, where is this crap all the time? Like we cannot pick and choose. And the Blazers aren't a pushover team, man. I wanted to come on here and say this, man. Anything bad I've said about the Blazers, I got to take it away because at the end of the day, these cats are playing their hearts out. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tiago split it. So we haven't talked much about the gambling investigation. We're not really that type of show. You guys have probably already got a bunch of that. But the fact Chauncey Billups wasn't coaching them, Tiago Splitter's the interim. Like, they don't. It's not like they have a crap ton of continuity. They're still young, but the pace that they played with, they were able to knock down their shots. They hit good threes too. I think Jake LaRavia, bro, where were you? In the second quarter, got a nice layup. He had I think he had two layups, two nice little moves to the rim. He ended up with 6 points on a game. We need somebody like LaRavia whenever we don't have a Doncic, LeBron James, and Gabe Vincent ended up getting hurt. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't have anybody who was really a consistent scorer for us besides AR. And AR ended up finishing with 41 points. In the third quarter, we had a little flurry, bro. I think the defensive issues in the third quarter was what got me most because we scored pretty well this entire game until the fourth. In the third, though, again, the Blazers come out and drop 32 points, bro. And it's threes. It's Advia getting and penetrating the paint, kicking it out. Sharp is there. There's Clingan who's grabbing. But you know what Donovan Clingan does so well? He doesn't let the opposing team get offensive rebounds. And I feel like that's so underrated. But yeah, we're small. Yeah, Ayton, little mini revenge game, sure. But like, can we grab an offensive rebound and create second chance points? Can we do that, bro? Like, it's an effort thing, bro. And it's starting to piss me off. I'm not gonna lie. You can say what you want with LeBron sitting on the side. Doncic obviously is hurt. I'm not saying that he's not hurt, but like, it is frustrating to watch our team struggle without, Bronny James Jr. I haven't talked about him. Bro, he got into this game and he doesn't look NBA ready. I hate to say that, bro. Yeah. But like, he is overmatched by people like Drew Holiday and Shaedon Sharpe and those bigger wings. He can't play first team minutes right now, and I want to see him, what he looks like against the Timberwolves. I know he's going to have a bigger role. JJ is going to ask him to shoot more, but like, if Dalton Connect and Bronny James Jr. can't be consistent scorers, then I feel like the Lakers are really going to struggle during this time period. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I ended up turning it off after we went down 15 in the fourth quarter because I knew it was chalk. I think we only scored we had a really good game offensively, but we could not score when it mattered most to stop the runs. And the Blazers kept going on runs. JJ would call a timeout, and we're down 12. And it's like, even if we hit a three, that only cuts the lead to 9. It's not like it's still not a double-digit lead. So we weren't really able to build any momentum for this game. I think Ayton ended up finishing with a good stat line, bro. Like, I think he had, what was it, like
25 and 13 or something like that? 14
13 or something like that? Yeah, like he had a great game, bro. So we said that in the storyline too, like that revenge game was I thought he would, and I spoke to you off camera about it though. Just the totality of this one just seemed like low effort. Obviously, it's tough. We just played a really long game versus the Kings. AR had a great game with that 51-point performance, follows it up with 41, but losing Gabe Vincent is a massive L in this game. I think LaRavia not playing up to his standard was interesting. And I like Roy, and Roy's played good, but I think we could get more from him too. I know I haven't talked about him much. He had an okay game against Portland, but I think focusing more on the Timberwolves now, just how is it going to look tonight whenever we play a good defense? And they're missing Anthony Edwards, so I didn't want to highlight that. We'll talk about that in the preview. But like, without Julius Randle, we know he's going to be their go-to. We know Jaden McDaniels is also probably going to be asked to shoot more, and DiVincenzo. Like, those are the 3 dudes we got to stop. And then everybody else, like, we can kind of get in where we're feeling. But I think we can win if AR has a great game, if Ayton is aggressive, and if Hachimura Connect and James Jr. can find some sort of offense. I'm not counting on LaRavia and Marcus Smart to score 20 points, because if you are, I think you're following the wrong team. Like, I think it's got to be Dalton Connect and Hachimura and guys who can consistently shoot the 3 to score points. So overall thoughts on Portland at a scale 1 to 10, like 10 being the most happy, 1 being pissed. I was like a 4. I was not excited for that one. And I also think Portland's a lot better than maybe we anticipate, like the Lakers anticipated, not me, because again, we did the offseason file.
Hmm.
We know the roster that they have, but they're our first time seeing them. I don't want to pile up excuses. We just should have saw more. We could not guard in this game. That's what killed us in the Portland's ability to get one and done shots. Like I said, Donovan Clayton just on the boards. People overlook that, but second chance opportunities are basically like turnovers for the other team.
Hmm.
You're giving the team another opportunity to score the ball.
Yeah.
So we got to do a better job about getting offensive rebounds, and yeah, hopefully we can fill in the void, bro. Because honestly, I'm pissed. I'm pissed about how we're playing, and I think Vanderbilt looks like shit on the offensive end, and there's not a lot of like joy. There just seems to be like we're just trying to get through it. And I want to go back to 2 games ago. I know like
You were
literally it's
just
been
talking.
4 games.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's been 4 games, but like the injuries I think zapped our joy. That's honestly, a true statement as well. It's just tough to play at 100%. And again, I don't want to make excuses for my team, so I'll stop. But it's tough.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get it, bro. It's tough. Like I think we had high hopes. I'm pretty sure we both had pretty high hopes for the Trailblazers. We didn't really know how well they were gonna do, obviously, but I think they're kind of
They're good.
showing us that they're a really good team. Defensively, it's something that's
They're good.
kind of been since the back half of the last season, and it kind of translated to this season. And it looks like they're getting better offensively. You're getting leaps out of the guys that they had already. Klingon, like you said, Denny as well. Those are two guys I got on my dynasty team, so I keep a close eye on them as well. And I think it's something with just what they got going on. I think, I was seeing the rumblings at the beginning or at the end of last season, just kind of seeing that getting translated over. Obviously, like you said, the gambling scandal that's going on. They don't
Yeah,
have their
yeah.
head coach. So it's something where I was very hesitant to think that the Trailblazers were going to win, but I think it was kind of just shows the type of team that they are and
They
the
are.
what they're
Yeah,
building
bro.
over there, the culture. I think it's good. It's dope to see that
Lillard,
Portland is
like,
kind of getting back
yeah,
to where they used to be without Dame in that starting lineup. And I think Drew Holiday is doing great for them right
awesome.
now. I feel like that's something that he didn't even want to play there a couple seasons
Yeah,
ago.
for
Now
sure.
he's balling out for them, doing winning basketball. I think that's kind of where it starts. And yeah, that was one of those games, bro.
Tough
Like you
game.
said, AR incredible. It's just kind of who's gonna be that other guy to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going
Who
to
else?
be your
8-2.
question. 8-2, yeah. Aiden
Yeah,
had a good
like
game.
yeah, and that was on Twitter, bro. And I appreciate Cats because I tweeted something and like I got a couple of DMs about it. So I want to shout out Ev um, because we were talking about it because he had commented on something about Aiton because I said like, oh, all the DA haters are going to be ghosts this year. I think Aiton goes for 16, 17, and 10. I said it.
You did.
Like he's not going to be the problem.
Hmm.
He was always a good center, and he could always like score the ball if he's wide ass open. Like
Hmm.
he's it's not that. It's just can Laravia, Smart, Connect, like
Hmm.
all these other guys like step up and fill the void. And that question mark might be something hanging over our heads for the rest of the year if we can't figure it out.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree, bro. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a good game. Y'all versus Timberwolves. Hopefully, think it's gonna be we'll
Red
see.
is like 7.5, bro. You know,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm
Uh,
excited regardless. I think we can win, bro. I think we do win. I'm not gonna lie. I know I was saying earlier, but I just think AR like has one of those games, and I think we get the Hachimura of the 25 tonight from Roy.
mm, I like that. Bet it. Book
Plus
it. Book
8.
it. Book it.
Okay, there you go.
But
We need a Thunder
y-
analysis. Come on,
yeah,
man. I've been
man.
waiting for
I was
it.
about to say going into the Thunder, bro. We played last night, coming off a back to back. We went against the Kings last night. Home game for
Crazy game.
us. Crazy game, man. Kind of just I took notes sparingly throughout. Watched the game yesterday. Kind of enjoyed it for what it was, and then watched. I was telling ZD the NBA.
Dense.
I don't think it has all of the condensed games, but they have it to where you could see all the possessions that happened in that game. So super cool. Was able to sit down, analyze it a little bit more, and I was kind of writing notes throughout the whole thing. But kind of starting it off, man. I think anytime Russell Westbrook goes against the Thunder, man, I think he always has a great game, and that was how this game started for him. He was 3 from 3 from the 3-point line and was a huge spark for them. Their starting lineup, I didn't even bring this up, was Westbrook, Schroeder, DeRozan, Levine, and Sabonis. So I was telling ZD that that's a interesting lineup. Obviously, they don't really have a power forward, so they have to kind of play small ball a lot. So it was interesting seeing Schroeder and Westbrook, especially right now in their careers. But I like it, especially Russ, what he was able to do in that first quarter. I think it was a good move by Doug Christie. I think that was a very
For sure.
strategic. With they're playing with their lineups, trying to figure out what sticks, and it looked good in the first quarter. But another note that I took, they said that DeMar DeRozan took more mid-range shots than 11 teams last year. So wanted to bring that up. And then we were really able to
Yeah.
witness two mid-range maestros cooking, man.
So,
SGA, DeMar DeRozan, some probably two of the best mid-range scorers that we have in this league. We're
ever,
able to see that.
ever.
DeRozan didn't pop off, but as I was watching the game, I think he's just hitting timely buckets, and it's like big shots, because he's taking those contested mid-range jumpers that we play good defense on, but he's just knocking them down. And that is one thing I'll say about the Kings, man. We talked about it earlier before we were started recording. Their offense is incredible, man. When it's
Great.
clicking,
Yeah.
and you have Sabonis hasn't really even had one of his games yet, so he's coming back from the injury, starting to get warmed up. I think he's going to have one of those games very soon. And when
Yep.
you have Levine and DeRozan, we don't shit on it, but we say that it's essentially what the Bulls roster was, and it was. But I think Levine as a scorer, it has gotten a lot better. His jump shot is silky smooth. Anytime he hits it, it like bounces right back, so it's pause. But I think the dynamic of their scoring is very interesting because I feel like DeRozan is the mid-range guy, so is Sabonis, and then they have Levine that could kind of spread the floor out a little bit more and then attack the rim or even in transition. So very dynamic offense that I think gets overlooked a little bit, but obviously this
I
game they
agree.
were able to. We obviously have not been hitting our jump shots, our 3-pointers. That's been something that I've been harping on really since last season, and it's still translated to this year, so it's not a good look. And I think it's something where we're kind of shooting ourselves out of games, and not out of games, but we're getting in deficits in the middle of games, or we're having these games be a lot closer than I think that they should be. I was giving high
I
praise to the
agree.
Kings, but we should beat the Kings, even if we're coming back off of a back to back. And I didn't even mention our injury report. Isaiah Joe's out. Obviously, Jalen Williams is out. Kenrich Williams is still out. Chet was out this game. So we had a lot of injuries that we're dealing with. But Aaron Wiggins, man. Aaron Wiggins saved basketball again. He's been one of those players for us really since last season, but even like going into this season, bro, he's another one of those players on our roster where he just steps up when he needs to. And I think it's kind of expected for a Thunder player to kind of do well coming off the bench. I think, whenever we did the live stream, AJ Mitchell was having him a game, and he's had a great season to start off. I would say he's probably the front runner, 6 man of the year front runner in this season so far. And I think he's had 5 straight games with over 14 points, I believe. So what he's able to do, him, Aaron Wiggins, our second units, probably one of the best, Caruso. So we have a lot of guys that are super versatile that could score. And I think, that Aaron Wiggins had a putback dunk to end the first half. And I think that was momentum going in for us. Kings were leading by 4 heading into halftime. So, another one of my notes I took, bro, Lou Dort has been pretty bad this season. You know what I mean? He hasn't been the most
Yeah.
efficient. Obviously, we know what he can do on the defensive side.
Goes hard.
That's never the question. It's just his jump shot. It's not.
Streaky man.
He's not hitting it at the clip he was last season, and I'm not expecting him to do that per se. But at least have it be a little more consistent than what it is right now. I think that's kind of what I want from Lou because he's getting the wide open looks, and I brought it up last podcast, but whenever we're hitting our threes, that's when we kind of start to blow teams out in a sense. You know what I mean? So I think that's something from him that we were getting last season that we haven't got at these first couple games. But I think he's going to get back into that form. It's just that was one of the notes I had to say because don't want to just talk about all the good. He is kind of whenever he gets the ball and attacks the rim, I get a little scared, bro, because I don't know what I'm gonna get. Am I gonna get him aggressively going to the rim, or am I gonna get him bouncing the ball over his head, causing a
Yeah,
turnover?
yeah.
It's a seesaw every time I see him drive to the rim. But said that, man, and I think, man, Keon Ellis, bro, that was one thing I took away from
Oh,
the Sacramento Kings, that he is probably the brightest spot on that team. Obviously, besides
no
their
doubt.
guys, he's the one of the younger guys on their team. But what he can provide for them, I think it was incredible. I think it was on full show this past game. He's able to defend pretty much majority of the players besides the big, and and if he's able to knock down his shots, I think it just kind of opens
It's
up the
awesome.
court more for the Kings because, like I said, they have a lot of mid range guys that. If you are just able to hit an open shot, Sabonis kicks it out to you on the top of the key, and you're able to knock those down. It's just gonna make y'all a better team. And I wanted to bring him up, but the Kings ended up being up by 10, bro, with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. I feel like that's something. The game wasn't a bad game. It's just we have not been hitting our jump shots, bro. So it puts us in these
Yeah,
predicaments throughout the a whole 48 minutes to where we really have to lock in and like lock down on the defensive side, which is never the problem. It's just being able to hit our jump shots, bro. I think we're able to get to the paint, that's never the issue. And we're able, funny enough, we have not been going to the line a lot. That's
I
something
was gonna
else
say y'all don't shoot that many free throws,
we don't.
bro.
Like,
Y'all don't. Not as many as the Lakers.
the free throw differential, bro, was they shot 21, we shot 10. So
And yeah, or something
obviously
like that.
that's
Yeah,
aspect of the
I saw
game
that.
where we weren't really getting a lot of foul calls going our way, but nonetheless, man, it's being down by 10 in the third quarter with 4 minutes left. It's kind of surprising for me, like I say, especially because the Kings, we should not be in this situation with them. They're a good team, but I think we're just a better squad like as a whole and
I
the
agree.
continuity. So there's no reason for that. So wanted to put that down, and then we ended the last 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the third quarter on a 9-2 run to be down by 3 going into the fourth quarter. So like you said, it's basketball is a game of runs, and I feel like that was huge momentum shifter for us going into the fourth quarter because this is when we really locked in and we actually played really good defense and we were hitting some of our jump shots. So I think this is when you may not be hitting your jump shots throughout the game, but if the looks are there, you got to take them. And I think that's when we started to finally knock those down. AJ Mitchell, man, he had a late
Oh,
he
bro.
had a late shot clock layup with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter to cut it to a 3 point game. 97-94. The Kings are up by 3 at that point. That was a huge moment, bro, because I think it was a dead play pretty much. I think there was like 3 seconds left at Shea had the ball in the corner. He tosses it to AJ Mitchell and he just barely gets it off in time. So like I said, huge momentum shifter. Those are the type of moments, and being home, I think that's also a reason why we were amped up and coming out, like I said, coming off of back to back, seeing those type of plays, bro. Like those are the little things that you have to like pay attention to really see like, oh, when did that moment change? And I think that was a huge moment, man.
Happened. Yeah, like
That
when did that
when
shift? Yeah.
everything, the momentum was shifting at that point. And I was just talking bad about him. Lou Dort though ends up hitting a big 3 in the fourth quarter with 2:33 left in the game to give us a 99-97 lead. So that, I think that was our first lead in the game since like I think we were up by like 72-71. So there was a stretch of 20 plus points where we didn't have the lead, and that was, like I said, was talking bad about him, but that was a huge jump shot from Lou. And that's kind of like the give and take with him. Like you see his jump shot high arch in the air, and damn, is he gonna make it? And he splashes it, and that's the damn, like that's what we need from Lou, bro. That's when we become a really good team, and it's what separates us from all the other teams in the league when we're able to hit those jump shots from him specifically. Um, Another play that I put in there, Wiggins ends up saving a ball and bounces it to iHeart for an and one. Ended up missing the free throw, but it gives us a 101-97 lead with a minute 40 left in the fourth quarter. That was a huge play, bro. Think it was the ball was going out of bounds. The Kings kind of gave up on the play, and then A Wiggs just threw it to iHeart, like bounced it to him because he's right underneath the rim, and ends up getting fouled in the dunk, bro. And obviously he didn't hit the free throw, but kind of like what I was saying, those type of moments in the game, that's why I wanted to put that
It's
down, because
important.
that was a huge moment, especially fourth quarter points. You're trying to get them a close game. You're home. You're really trying to keep the momentum on your side. Those are those type of plays,
Yeah,
and one more thing, or a couple more things. Alex Caruso's impact on our roster does not get shown on the box score. He's not one of those players where, oh, well, let's see how well Alex Caruso did. He
yeah,
had
like he didn't
8 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. So great for a player coming off the bench, but
all
it's
around
it's
game.
not
Yeah,
it's not eye popping. It's not like he's getting 20 points,
like
five
wow, yeah,
steals. You know what I mean? But what
that
he does, it's just you have to watch the game to really understand his impact on our roster. And I wanted to bring that up because there's a lot of players like that. You know what I mean? I think he is a reason. He
smart.
is one of the reasons why we ended up winning that chip, and I think he's going to still help us along in our journey, trying to get back to back. I think he's super undervalued, and I think he's a huge part of our roster that, like, I'm so glad we have him, bro, and what he's able to do. I think Case Wallace and like a lot of the younger guys are gonna be that type of build for us. Whenever he ends up, if he ends up leaving, or if we end up not re-signing him or whatever it is, like, I think we're set up well with the players that we have. But shout out to Alex Caruso, bro. Wanted to give his flowers because like I said, you're gonna go through the box score for it, and you're gonna see his stats and not really see much. But if you watch the game, you'll understand why. So wanted to bring that up. And then, man, to end this little recap off of this Kings at Thunder, man. SGA dagger with 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter ended up giving
Three
him
ball.
31 points to end the night, and huge, bro. Huge shot from him. I think he's, hasn't been the greatest from the 3-point line. Been super streaky, but we know that he can still get to 30 regardless. And when he actually does add that jump shot, or when he hits those big moments, big time moment buckets, I think it's what separates him, and it's what makes us so great. So, wanted to bring that up, and man, it was a good one, a lot closer
I
than it
like
should
that.
have been, but I think it was a really
It's
good
real.
game, bro. I think the Kings, like we
Yeah,
said, all the circumstances aside, injuries, back to back, whatever. I think they're still a pretty good team, but I think if we were healthy, wouldn't have been as close. And it is what it is. But they're good, man. They're good when they get their offense clicking. When Sabonis gets it going, and gets in his mid-season form, I think they're gonna be like a sneaky team. Not saying that they're gonna make a solidified playoff spot, but I think they can be one of those teams where they're not a pushover. Or you're gonna circle that game and be like, oh, this is gonna be an easy win or whatever. Like, I don't think that that's what they are. I think they have a really good starters, and then it's just figuring out who their bench is who's gonna be the one to step up. And I think Keon Ellis is gonna be the head of that secondary unit coming off the bench, and kind of
I
leading
agree.
them into their new pieces that they're wanting to build around. But yeah, great game. Can't complain. Huge big time moment buckets from the boys, and it was a good one, man. It was a great. I was able to watch it with the
5-0.
boys, and we're 5-0, man. 5-0, coming off of
Best team in the
a
NBA.
championship. I can't complain, bro. Can't complain.
Yes, sir. That's hey, yeah, keep winning, man. You never complain with the W's, but yeah, just close up like you said. I think that kind of sums up the game, but just shouldn't have been that close. But you're gonna have close games, you
Mm,
know. The Thunder were able to get another win in a clutch situation. I think they've had three clutch games defined as clutch. Obviously, two double overtime games, and then this one.
hmm
Um, just showing you the championship pedigree. But going into our NBA games preview, we have a bunch of games, man. 9 ones on the slate. Some of them are deep into the games. Rockets and Raptors, dope game. Fred VanVleet's out. Dorian Finney-Smith out. Jakob Poeltl was listed as doubtful. He probably didn't play. Storylines to watch for that one. I think that one's almost over. But can the Raptors find their groove on offense versus a great defense? They're 1-2 currently. Haven't really been able to find their stride this season. You know, Bi is dating Glorilla or something. People. I don't know, man. Like, hopefully the Raptors can figure out they are in. They're an apron team.
Yeah.
This isn't a team that has a ton of wiggle room on the balance sheet, and I think playing a team like Houston is a really good challenge for them. And do they just have enough depth? Because I think their bench is very weak. I would love to see a jump from Grady Dick, OG Abaji, guys that are their sophomore, third season really step up and take the reins here, but we'll see. And then Amen Thompson and Alperen Şengün, can they continue to make their strides? I think we know Kevin Durant is 20 points per game, 25 points per game, but seeing Amen Thompson, Alperen Şengün, mainly Şengün, I think he's probably been the best Rockets player so far this year. And even though Houston doesn't have a ton of wins, I think they took a tough loss to OKC. They have a bunch of near wins, so they play good basketball. They just came off that W against the Nets, and I think seeing those two guys' ascensions has been really cool to see. So hopefully the Raptors find some depth, they find some scoring, they're able to pull this one out, and then hopefully Amen Thompson, Alperen Şengün can continue on. But going on to this next one, this is one of the games of the night. It's not close right now. We're doing it at 7:45 p.m. So I think it's the third quarter in this Cavs Celtics game. But Cavs are without Darius Garland, without Max Strus and Sam Merrill. And then obviously the Celtics, Jason Tatum's out for the season. He's the only player that was hurt. Jaylen Brown was listed as questionable. He ended up going, so there's no worries with the injuries there. Just can the Celtics beat a good defensive team, man? I think the Pelicans win was not fraudulent, but you could say that's not a good win for the Celtics. The Celtics have championship aspirations, maybe not this season, but overall. And I think playing against the Cavaliers, who aren't at full strength but are pretty healthy and have their two centers, can they find enough offense on the interior to be able to beat the Cavs, especially since the Cavs have those twin towers? And also their bench. I mean, outside of Anthony Simons, can they find anybody else to score? They currently are up like 15, 16 points when I last checked. So they're doing really well as of right now. They're obviously answering yes to those questions, but they're figuring it out as we're going. Moving on to the Cavs side, I mean, does Lonzo Ball give the Cavaliers the playmaking that Darius Garland just couldn't figure out? I think Lonzo Ball's a different wing, and he's given the Cavaliers a different look, especially at his size and especially defensively. I think Lonzo Ball is a player that all teams want to have just because of his impact offensively and how he gets other players involved. But what we don't talk about is his defensive impact. He's gotten a lot of hands-on basketballs, and he continues to be a good fill-in piece for Darius Garland and while he's been out. So I wanted to ask that question. I don't know if you've watched him a lot this year, but he's looked really, really good. And then, yeah, can Evan Mobley dominate the Celtics' weak interior? I think Jared Allen has had a pretty good year. I haven't seen Evan Mobley have that 35-point performance yet. Can he do it against the Celtics? We'll see. I think the Celtics have a really weak front court. Namias Queta, no slight to him, but he can't guard those two guys. So just want to see how Evan Mobley competes in this one. And I feel like this was the game of the night. We'll see if it gets competitive in the fourth. But this was the one that I did want to watch. That was at 6:30, but it's kind of deep into the game.
Yeah. Going on to the next one, man. Magic versus Pistons. The Magic will be without Mo Wagner for this matchup, and the Pistons will be without Jaden Ivey, obviously. And then they have Asar Thompson, Marcus Sasser, and Karis LeVert listed as questionable. Key storylines for this matchup. Can the Magic get it going on offense? I feel like this is something we've been saying last season, and we were hoping for a change. And at the beginning of this season, hasn't been the greatest. We know Desmond Bane, what he's able to provide, hasn't really popped off per se. He's spread out the floor a little bit, but hasn't, dropped a 25, 30-point game that, we were expecting from him, So
a little bit,
wanting to see the what that ends up looking like. Paolo really hasn't been able to get it going either. Franz is probably the brightest spot on that team as of right now. Just what he's been able to do on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously,
For sure.
Paolo is one of those players where you kind of live with him trying to shoot those contested jump shots because he is a great player. But as of right now, it hasn't been knocking down. So hasn't been really that doing that well. That kind of is the reason why they haven't been as successful as we thought they would be. But
Yeah.
are their shooting woes going to continue this year? I think
Yeah, we'll
that's
see, bro.
another question because we've been saying it all season it was going to be look different, and as of late it has not. So going on to the
Yeah.
Pistons side, can the Pistons manage on defense without Asar Thompson? You know, the Thompson twin that gets forgotten. I feel like I think you said that earlier in one of the pods,
Yeah.
but that he's a
Yeah.
huge reason why they are so good on the defense side. So I think going against the Magic would be not an easy
It's a good test.
matchup per se, but a good test for them because we are talking highly of them coming to the season. Are they going to be able to get it popping off without the Pistons having their best perimeter defender? So we shall see what that looks like. Like you're saying, these games are kind of deep into it. 84-74
I think he
right
ended up
now.
going. He ended up going. I think Asar
Asar.
went.
Okay,
So
got you.
we'll see. We'll see in the future.
Yeah, and then can Cade Cunningham get it going? I feel like
Hasn't scored 25 yet.
he hasn't, bro. It's been very very intriguing. I feel like coming off that All Pro or All NBA season. I think you brought it up last pod as well. We haven't really had that Cade performance from him yet. Been starting off kind of rocky, so can he get it going? I think that's
Yeah, we
one
will
of the
see.
storylines. Yeah, we shall see. And then going on to the next 6:30 tip off, Hawks versus Nets. Hawks have Jalen Johnson and Zachary Ricochet listed as probable, so they probably ended up going. And the Nets have
Yeah, you
Zaire
know, going.
Williams listed as questionable and Hayward Highsmith out. Key
Yeah.
storylines for this game. Do the Nets have enough scoring besides Cam Thomas and MPJ? Feel like that's a question we have been asking a lot throughout this leading up to the season. We know what Cam Thomas should do. We know the ability of MPJ, but who else is going to be that next guy to step up? I think it's kind of what they're looking for. Don't really
Yeah.
know if they even know that answer to that question yet. So
That's what I'm saying. We might be asking that for a
for a
while.
while. We might be at that might be a question we probably ask all season long.
I was gonna say, man, because you'll see. We'll get into it. You guys will see the next one we have because they have some players that aren't starting.
Hmm. Crazy.
Like Igor Yanov should be starting over Ben Serif. Ben Serif averages 3 points a game, brother.
Yeah, what's
You
he
know what I'm
doing?
saying?
Why is he starting? Why isn't he your rookie starting?
Uh, I don't know. I watched him against Houston. I think Igor Yanov had a better game than Ben's. Like nothing against Surf, but like I just don't know if he's like ready. And I think the Nets are low key tanking this early. But like I don't know why he's not starting.
Yeah.
But that was the next storyline. I think he should. He had a really good game against who did the Hornets.
Hornets, yeah.
So yeah, against the Hornets, he had a really good game. I remember that matchup, but
Yeah, he hit a couple threes,
hopefully,
right? That was that
yeah,
game.
bro,
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
a
Big
big
three.
three, and he just looks good though. He looks like the starting point guard, so I think they should put him out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Nets.
Yeah,
Do your job, man. And then going
do
on
your
to the other
job.
side, the Hawks side, can the Hawks get Trey Young shooting percentage going? I feel like that's
Yeah,
really been the story of Trey Young for the past season. His efficiency hasn't really been there. And even when he isn't shooting the most efficient, we're seeing his assist numbers kind of go up. They haven't been that well this year. I think it's just more so their guys not knocking down their shots. I think we brought it up last podcast, but it's Trey Young is that engine to that offense. So if he isn't shooting a good percentage, it's kind of hard for everyone else to get it going as well because the shots that Trey is taking are bad shots per se, but if he were to make them, they would be good shots. So I think that's kind of where they're
exactly.
at, and it's hard for them to really get their offense going when he's kind of chucking and he's not knocking them down. So I think that's a huge storyline for the Hawks. And uh, can the Hawks become a better defensive team? I think on paper we thought they
Yeah,
were going to be one of the better defensive teams in this league, but as of right now, it's not looking like that. Offense isn't looking good as well, so it's not a recipe for getting a lot of wins this season.
yeah,
So hopefully they're
right.
able to, flip the switch and one or the other ends up, becoming better. Both don't have to become elite overnight, but just see a little bit of progression. I think Dyson
Yeah,
Daniels coming off that all defensive season, he's still looking pretty good, but it's just what
looks good on D.
what can he do for us on the offensive side? You're kind of a little bit of a liability on that side of the ball, and I think that's kind of Nas having a great season. I think he's been a really good bright spot for them. Probably one of their better pickups this season. Porzingis is, he's doing his thing. I just don't think he's making as much as an impact as it's what it feels like, at least. I
Feels
don't.
like,
We're not
yeah,
getting those
he's
like,
just out there.
yeah, he's just kind of, yeah. Like what's Porzingis doing? I said that to you a couple of times. Like, what is this guy doing? Or like where's
Yeah, I
Porzingis? Like, you
know.
know what I mean? Like, what he like? I see him on
Where
the
is
court, but what's he
Porzingis?
doing, bro? So that's kind
Yeah,
of how I
where
feel
is
about that
Porzingis?
pickup. But
Facts.
that's really what it is about the Hawks,
Facts.
man. Getting the offense going, and can you get your defense to actually all be on the same page? Because you have the players, and they're talented.
They have a
They're
great
able
roster.
to make these moments, but it just hasn't really shown it to us on the court yet. So that's the storylines for the Hawks versus
Yeah,
Nets.
for sure, bro. And then we're moving on to the next part of the slate, 7 to 8 p.m. games. This one tipped at 7. Kings versus Bulls. This one I'm excited for, man. The Bulls are without Kobe White, Zach Collins. The Kings will be without Nikkei Clifford and Keegan Murray. Can the Bulls keep their win streak alive? Is it fake? Right? Like we've
Yeah,
talked about them a lot. Matas Buzelis looks great. Josh Giddey looks
great.
great. I
Yeah.
think Nikola Vucevic has been one of the reasons why they've been winning. He's averaging 20 and 8 on really good efficiency. We talked about him in the offseason file, saying that he would do that. I mean, yeah, the Bulls look great. I think it's a little bit fraudulent. They probably aren't this good, but can they keep that win streak alive? The momentum looks to be on their side. Billy Donovan's got the contract extension. He's coaching those boys up, and they look good, man. I think
Mhm.
the Bulls have been in purgatory for so long. At some point, they are going to get a couple hits on those draft picks, and they may be turning a corner in front of us right now. And I think, can Matas, the next question, can Matas make a sophomore leap? I think he made all rookie team barely last year. I said he would, and he did barely. But I think he's going to be asked to score a lot more without Kobe White in the lineup. And if Kobe White's gone for a month, especially against the Kings, who have a horrible defense, can Matas Buzelis get 25 tonight? That would be really nice. I think it would help them keep their win streak alive. Going on to the Kings, you already know what I'm going to say. Revenge game, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. Can that duo get it going? We know they're off of back-to-back. Cedar just spoke about it. They played the Thunder last night. Barely lost.
Mhm.
Are they going to keep that in their heads, or are they going to continue and find a way to get a W against an undefeated team? Because they're playing a team that was just like the Thunder. The Thunder were undefeated, so are the Bulls.
Mhm.
These two teams are some of the best in their conferences. So can DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine find something within themselves? I think these cats want to go for 30 each. Guarantee you they're going to be looking extra aggressive tonight. I think it's in the United Center too. How cool is that?
Mhm.
So Jordan statue is going to be live and well. And then can Domantas Sabonis get it going offensively? You spoke about it for a second, but 12 points, 10 points, 10 points. I like that, man. But I think he needs to be getting 18 to 20.
Mhm.
He is that type of player. And to me, he's a Hall of Famer. I think he is somebody who I would say you need to be more aggressive, man. We can't have you get 12 points. We're not going to win that way. I think the Kings win the most games when he's scoring and being impactful on the offensive end in that regard and being a threat. Because right now he's a facilitator. He's not a threat to score.
Mhm.
And that's what he needs to change, especially against a weak interior. We know the Bulls don't have a ton of centers. I think he's going to dominate on the defensive rebounding end and probably finish with damn near 20 boards. Just how many points can he get? I think the Kings have been searching for defensive questions, and I didn't put it on the outline, but can they guard somebody? Man, their offense looks great, but like these losses, giving up 51 to Reeves, losing barely to the Thunder, like they count, man, and they get into your psyche. You don't want that to be your team's identity. And so, yeah, can the Kings figure it out on defense while simultaneously dealing with the revenge games from Levine, DeRozan, and also trying to get Sabonis involved because Keon Ellis, Malik Monk, Russell Westbrook, all those guys look pretty aggressive. Those guys aren't struggling right now. I think Russ is going to come in and be instant offense. He's never shy from taking a shot. So, I want to see Sabonis be a little more aggressive. But I think this is going to be a good matchup. That was one I wanted to watch. I'll probably watch the condensed, but that's a dope game. I think the Kings are going to be a cool team to watch. They won't be the best defensive team, but they'll have a couple interesting games this season. But going on to the Pacers Mavericks, this one was at 7:30. Pacers will not have Halliburton, Toppin, Nembhard, McConnell, Mathurin, Furphy, or Cam Jones. So they got a laundry list of people out right now. Obviously, Halliburton's out for the season. The Mavericks will be missing Irving and Dante Exum. Irving potentially is out for the season. I didn't put it on the outline because he could be coming back, and I think he might. So he's not really in OFS. I think he'll come back in 3 to 4 months. Dante Exum, though, that injury's been nagging him for the last few games. He's actually somebody that they could utilize right now, being short at the guard position. So that does hurt Dallas. And then Dallas also had listed Lively, Gafford, and I think Williams is questionable. I'm not sure if they ended up going. I'm sure Gafford and Lively went. Not sure if Williams ended up getting on the court. But yeah, that's laundry list of injuries in that game. But moving on to the storylines, man, I mean, do the Pacers have enough to withstand all of these bodies out? And really, can Pascal keep their scoring afloat? You heard my injury report. It's just really hard to score if you don't have anybody to do the scoring. I mean, Toppin, Nembhard, McConnell, Mathurin, Halliburton.
Sheesh. That's their whole.
Sheesh, right? Yeah, sheesh. So we talked about Pascal. I think he had a great performance against the Thunder. He's not a scrub. He could potentially be an all-star, So I think he goes out and gets 30. I don't think he's scared of this moment, which is awesome because that's why his contract was said to be one of the worst in the league. It's not. They paid him, 45 a year to be scoring 25 on good efficiency. It's a pretty good contract to me. So I think he will be able to do it. It's just moving on to the Maverick side. Like, can Cooper Flagg get it going a little bit? We haven't talked about him a lot, bro, but he's only 18. He's the youngest player in the NBA. I'm not going to harp on him too much this year. I know you won't either, but it would be nice to see him go off for 20 here. I mean, you're playing the Pacers B team. It would be nice to see him make a one-up on the Rookie of the Year standings with VJ performing so well in Philadelphia. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, Anthony Davis, can he have a big game? I mean, the Pacers' interior defense is horrible. No slight to Jay Huff, but he can't guard AD. So I'm expecting a big game out of those two guys, Cooper Flagg and AD, those two, forward center positions. And if I love Cooper Flagg. I don't think he needs to be running the point every game. I think it's something you experiment against a certain team, like a Wizards, like these teams. You can experiment whenever you're playing teams like that. No slight to the Wizards either, because I truly don't think that there's a. Honestly, I'll say the Nets. The Wizards are a competitive team. The Nets, playing the Nets, you can go experiment with Cooper Flagg at the point. But right now it needs to be D'Lo. And I think, having D'Lo on the ex-Laker, we know what he can provide for you in a situation where you need him to fill in. He had 18 points the other night. When Jason Kidd plays him good minutes, you get good results sometimes. So Pacers Mavericks, another banger.
Another banger, man. And we have a couple more for the 7:30 slots. We have the Pels. We're going against the Nuggets. The Pelicans will not have Kevon Looney or DeJounte Murray for this game. Also, Zion is listed as questionable. I'm not too sure if he ended up going, honestly. He went.
I'll look at it. Yeah, I'll look at it.
The Nuggets have Cam Johnson listed as questionable. So another one. Don't know if he ended up going. I think or that game actually hasn't started yet. That's at 8.
It's starting now.
It's about to start.
Now.
Yeah. Key storylines in this games. Can the Nuggets stay hot with Murray and Jokic? Obviously.
Ooh, yeah.
We know what that duo can do, and we know what Jokic has the capability of doing as well. He hasn't really been that aggressive on the scoring side of the ball. I feel like he's been kind of just filling up the stat sheet, doing what he has always been doing. But
I got a question for you, man. Do you think you're going to have another situation like last year? This happened last year, and that Nets game changed everything.
Yeah.
You think he's going to get that again?
He might. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I think
He might be asked to.
he might. Yeah, like you're because you're gonna have to. Like, obviously, the team overall is constructed probably one of the best teams Jokic has ever had. But he is the head of the snake, and he needs to be the engine to the offense. He needs to be aggressive and score and set everyone up because once you start scoring, then everyone else is playing off for you and they're doubling you, keeping kicking it open to open player and stuff. So I think he's gonna have to, bro. He's gonna have to. I mean, the Nuggets aren't in a bad spot, but just wanted to see Jokic a little more aggressive on the offensive side,
Offensive end.
scoring
He had
is
3 straight triple doubles. That's
right,
why I ask. Like
right.
if if you're a box score warrior, probably like why is CJ and Z? That's why I think you did a good point in bringing that up because he hasn't been aggressive on the offensive end. And I'd argue they've been winning. Like you can win and do the wrong things.
Yeah,
So that's the thing. Like at times the Nuggets will win and they'll have like a quiet little game, and I'm like, I don't know if that's how you can play in the playoffs though.
right,
Like in Game 7 versus the Thunder.
right.
So
Exactly.
that's a good point.
Exactly. Another storyline for the Nuggets. Does Aaron Gordon step up again if Cam Johnson is absent? I feel like that's the main thing. Cam Johnson, new acquisition for the Nuggets, hasn't really had one of those games that we're
Those games,
expecting him
yeah, bro,
to be. We said that he is
for
like a
sure.
MPJ. I feel like his shot just isn't knocking down. So,
There right now.
if he's absent, I think Aaron Gordon has kind of filled in that hole that was left from MPJ and I guess Cam Johnson at this point in the season. But what he's been doing, bro, it's been incredible. I think if he keeps this up, he's gonna be a all-star potentially. You know what I mean? If he
Yeah,
keeps playing
yeah,
like this, so
for
I
sure.
think he's one of
Without
those
a doubt.
players that I think he's gonna step up in the moment. And we talked about it last pod. He's slowly turning into a knockdown 3-point shooter. So now that you gotta
For
respect that
sure.
jump shot, it's gonna open up his game and then open up everyone's game because we know what he's
I
able
love that.
to provide on both sides of the ball. And then on the
Hey,
Pelicans side, if Zion is out, do the Pelicans have enough interior scoring? I think that's
Derek Queen.
Dairy Queen.
Derek
It's
Queen
the
time.
Dairy Queen show, I guess. And we will see how that goes. He's on my dynasty team as well. He's in that taxi spot, but just seeing what he could do, bro. I think you traded up to get him. You try to position yourself to be in a win now situation since you traded your first overall pick for this season for last season's 14th pick, I believe, or
Yep.
around
Yep.
that.
14th overall.
So you position yourself in a spot where you're probably expecting to win games. So we're
Right
hoping for
now. Yeah.
a leap from Derek Queen, I guess you could say, in his fourth, fifth game into the season. He's been looking great though. I think it's just who else is going to be able to do it if Zion isn't
Yeah,
starting
like
tonight.
Jordan Poole, like you're saying, like I think interior wise, it's got to be him because we know Jordan Poole's gonna shoot, bro, and Trey Murphy's gonna shoot, and those cats are awesome to have. But like, who are your bigs if
Mm-hmm.
Zion's not there? That's why
Exactly.
they drafted Derek Queen. They Jeremiah Fears has been good too, so
Mm-hmm.
like that's a good piece. But like, they needed
It's
a
no
big.
big,
That's why
yeah.
they. Yeah, yeah.
No big. So it's the Derek Queen show tonight, boys. And then last thing for the Pels, can the Pelicans get it done from three? They're shooting 30% right now from the 3-point line, and I think that's
God,
terrible. I know
bottom third of the
I must
league.
say
Bottom,
we might be the worst
y'all
3-point
are
shooting
too.
team.
Y'all are bottom third. Y'all are bottom
So
third as well.
they're right there with us. Obviously, our defense is a little better, so that's what's still keeping us in a lot of these games. The Pelicans don't have a good defense, so if they're not able to hit their 3-pointers down at a consistent rate, they're not going to win a lot of games this season either. So
No.
hoping for like you said, the
Turn
Jordan
around, yeah.
Poole, the Trey Murphys, um, what's his name,
Even Jared. Who?
Hawkins.
Oh yeah, Jordan Hawkins.
Jordan
There you go. What a
Hawkins, you
pull.
know what I mean? So like those type of
What a
performances,
pull. Yeah,
we're kind of waiting to
he's
see
awesome.
which guard from that team is going to be able to be consistent from the 3-point line, especially if Zion doesn't go tonight, or even if he does, Zion's gonna be kicking out to you. You're gonna be probably open more likely than not. So you gotta be able to knock
They're not.
those down.
Yeah.
Going on to the next game, that's kicking off or tipping off at 8. Trailblazers versus Jazz. The Trailblazers are missing Scoot Henderson and Rob Will, and Matisse Thybulle is listed as questionable. And the Jazz will be without Isaiah Collier and Georges Niang, and Nurkic is listed as questionable as well. Some key storylines. can Lowry stay hot after his 51-point performance? Man, he was
Wow.
what Euro basket does for like these players come into the
Yeah,
season, bro.
bro.
I think it gets overlooked, man, because we kind of he was
No
doing
doubt.
this in the tournament too, so he just kind of has moved perfectly, in form during this as this beginning of the season starts, and what he did last game, bro, 51 points. Like you said, I don't think it's been done in 18 years or something
18 years.
for the franchise. So, can he keep that
Carl,
going? Can he keep it rolling? I think he can, man. With what he's kind
I
of showed
agree.
us, he's a sniper from three, and is just so versatile. He has the ability to kind of be a three-level scorer at moments, but when he's knocking that three down,
Yeah.
that's just when his game opens up so much.
They
So
will not trade Lowry Marketing,
they will
bro.
they will
They will
not
not.
they will not. And another
They will not.
storyline for the Jazz: can Ace Bailey continue to build on his best rookie game so far? I think you brought it up. He
Yeah.
ended up scoring 8 points last game. Is he able to keep
Yeah.
that momentum going? I know but when he got drafted, I said he was going to be a streaky shooter. He's going to take some tough jumpers, but
That's been
if
right.
he's able to knock those down, man, it's you go from going to getting 8 points to potentially 12, 13, just hitting a couple jumpers,
Yeah,
just seeing the
exactly.
progression, getting to the flow of what the NBA is. So, can Ace get it going? And then on the Trailblazer side, can Denny Avila continue to play at an all-star level, man? Hopefully for my dynasty's sake he does, but I think just what he's able to do, bro, kind of he showed us what, like I said, I keep bringing up, but just the back half of last year, what he was able to do, on the offensive side of the ball, and he plays pretty good defense, but it's just kind of like he's like a kind of like a do-it-all forward for them. So I think, if he could keep that up, he's gonna, potentially be an all-star as well. So, can he do that? And then, does the absence of Scoot really impact the Blazers?
This is a good one. I wanted to talk about this one
Uh,
because, yeah,
go for it. Go
I
for
don't
it.
know if it does. No, no, no. I don't know if it does, bro. I just, like, the last 2 years for Scoot Henderson have been so up and down. With Denny Advia playing this way, bro, I want to hear your take. Like, what
Um,
does it?
nah, man. They're looking good without him, so I don't think it really is making that much of an impact. They're still winning games. They're still getting performances from Denny, Donovan Clingan. They have so
Question
much
for you.
other young pieces on the team to where I don't think it's making that much of
You don't think it? Yeah.
a
Do
difference.
you think Scoot has to earn back his minutes? Like, they're not going to just play him 30 minutes.
Yeah, I
Like,
think
he's
so.
got to show
I
out
think
now,
so
low
because
key.
even Drew Holiday, like, yeah, he's older,
Yeah,
but
he's a winning.
he's
Yeah,
winning. He's helping them win. He's doing more than what Scoot has done. Obviously,
has
he's a
done right.
veteran, but I think the potential with Scoot, you drafted him so high, it was to be like a franchise cornerstone piece, and we just haven't seen that yet. So I would say yes, but like still give him some minutes, maybe
Some
just like
time.
with the second roster, like the bench
Yeah,
unit, see
second
how he
unit.
does, and
Yeah,
then if you end up cooking in there, then you could probably get a starter. But yeah, I have no reason to think that they're really gonna change their lineup as of right now. I mean, they're winning games, so
I like it. I like it, CJ. That's a good game. A little underrated one.
yeah, that is
Portland versus
under.
Jazz. You wouldn't think. You wouldn't think. I bet you that spread is less than 4. So
Mm-hmm.
that game should be close. And yeah, like that's a great some great points there, CJ. Going into the late slate, this is the one I'm about to watch. The 8:30 Lakers versus Timberwolves. Come on, man. This is my squad. LA for the road. Okay. LA is without Doncic. Obviously, LeBron, Maxi Kleber, and Adu Thero, who's yet to make his season debut, and Gabe Vincent, who recently got ruled out with ankle injury. It's 2 to 4 weeks. He'll be reevaluated in about a month. So it's another massive, massive blow for our roster. Jackson Hayes is also listed as questionable. The T Wolves are without Anthony Edwards. That's a big caveat there. Ant has yet to, he gets hurt at times, but he does a really good job of coming back early. I'm excited to see what the Timberwolves look like without him tonight. So going into the storylines, can the Lakers just find enough scoring without half of their team? I think Dalton Connect, Bronny James Jr., Roy Hachimura, now is your time. It's no longer Austin Reeves. I'm not worried about him. I know you aren't either. We're not even going to talk about him. It's can the other guys get involved and be more aggressive? Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, can they hit timely threes? Can Rui Hachimura offset, be a mid-range maestro? I've seen that. I've seen his post fadeaway game and his mid-range game. It's really taken another leap this season. I'm excited for him to get more opportunities to shoot the ball tonight. And then, do we have enough interior defense to stop Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle? We didn't in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Gobert torched us in an elimination game. I think he had 20 boards. I came
2020.
on here pissed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have nobody. And Aiden, I love Aiden. He's outperforming everybody's expectations. It's a lot to ask one center to box out multiple people. Aiden will finish with 8, 9 boards. We probably won't win the rebounding battle unless our guards rebound. So I'm expecting a big rebounding game from Hachimura, Austin Reed. Everybody's got a board tonight. So that's kind of where the Timberwolves can potentially beat us here is on the interior, and I think they'll be looking to do that. And moving on to Minnesota side, man, can Minnesota's offense just hold up without Ant? I think Julius Randle has been asked to do a lot. You brought it up before we started recording. Dante DiVincenzo has played extremely well. He's hitting his shots right now. If him and Randle can continue to initiate the offense, that's going to be really valuable for Ant's absence. But this leads me to my next storyline. Can they find a true point guard? I still don't think Minnesota has a true point.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Conley, DiVincenzo, and Anthony Edwards are not true point guards. We've talked about Rob Dillingham. I know I got Austin Reeves. He's a true point guard,
Yeah.
right? Like, you need a true point guard. Ant can be a great initiator, but he's not a point guard. So I think the Timberwolves do have to answer that question at some point during the season, and I think it's going to show up in this game because Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, like that's a good little core right there, but those guys aren't going to give you 12, 13 assists. You know, if you're not going to play Rob Dillingham at this point, it's really tough to find somebody to lead your offense. So outside of Julius Randle initiating and Dante DiVincenzo running the fake point guard, yeah, can Minnesota find somebody to initiate their offense every single time? And that was Mike Conley 3 years ago, 2 years ago, but he's just too old. He's probably will retire after this year or next year. He's too old. He can't play.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's good on offense, but the defense, he's way slower than he used to be, and that's what happens when you get old.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think LA wins by like 1 point, and it's because we win on the rebounding margin.
Gotcha. Who do you think is gonna be besides Aiton? Obviously, who do you think is gonna be the team's
Hachimura,
Hachimura?
25.
Hell yeah.
AR is getting 20, or AR is going to get 27. Aiden will get 18. Hachimura will have 22. Connect will have like 14.
Okay, good game from Connect. Okay,
Yeah,
he's
bro.
knocking it down from threes this game or what?
Yeah, I think his line was like 1.5, and I kind of saw it. I was like, I like that because I think he's going to shoot like 10 of them
Mm. He's gonna have
because
to.
there's nobody
Yeah, I
out
was say he's
there.
gonna
Yeah,
have
there's
to.
nobody out there. So it's just I'm excited to see how we play without Doncic and LeBron. And we lost to the Trailblazers. Hopefully, we can come in and find a way to get a W. Because if not, we'll be under 500 for the first time this year.
Mm. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. You can hit the Grizzlies and Suns.
For sure, bro. In the last game of the night, the night game, the game that you might be falling asleep while you're watching just because
Yeah,
it's a little late. Grizzlies versus Suns, man. The Suns are without Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green, and Jalen Green is listed as questionable. Sorry. The Grizzlies are missing Brandon Clark, Zach Edey, Ty Jerome, and Scottie Pippen Jr. And Vince
yeah.
Williams and Santi Aldama are listed as questionable as well. Some key storylines
Okay,
for the Suns. If Green is in the lineup tonight, what do him and D Book look like together? Feel like that's what we've been asking shit since the trade happened, bro. The Suns have not been a good team. Offense really isn't clicking. We haven't seen what this roster looks like at full health. I think, we've been talking
yeah.
about, well, what do they call it? What's the Tyrese and VJs? They have a
What?
nickname, bro.
Oh. What is it called, bro? I
Something
forget their
Max.
nickname too.
Something Max.
It's something
It's
Max.
something Max. I just can't think of it, but that has been the best backcourt duo that
So
we
far, yeah.
have. Can this be the if he's playing tonight, can they be the duo that we were expecting them to be? I think They adds a very cool dynamic that besides VJ and Tyrese, we haven't really seen it up until this point. And I think with D Book and Jalen Green, if they're able to actually get it going, I think it would be interesting to see them make the offense a little more, you know, just a little more of a threat. I feel like there's not really anybody on the Suns roster that has been balling out. Dylan Brooks has been doing a great job, but he's out tonight, and they haven't had their guys yet. So what does that end up looking like for the Suns? I think it'll be great or pretty decent. It's just what does that look like on the defensive side as well? You kind of both aspects of the game that is going to be affected whenever Jalen Green gets in the lineup. But next one, can the Suns find more offense outside of D Book?
Yeah,
That's
really.
this feel like that's another question we've been asking the Suns
Whole
franchise
season.
season
Yeah,
for the
they
past couple.
can't do it.
They don't really have that consistent secondary scoring
Scoring
option.
threat, right?
You know, Grayson Allen hasn't really had it going. Uh,
Nah,
there hasn't really been anybody on this roster besides D Book that has been able to get to a bucket. And I think that's
create
kind
their own shot.
of yeah, nothing really. So that's
I had Dylan Brooks. He's performed well.
yeah,
He's
but
actually been awesome.
he's been
He's just
great.
out. He's
Yeah.
been good. Yeah, he scored 20 on a few occasions.
Mm-hmm.
So besides him and D Book, and probably Jalen, like you said, he's questionable. This is the first time
First
we've
time
said on
he's
the
been.
podcast he's questionable. Yeah, he could go tonight. If he goes,
I'm gonna
that's a
be.
different
I
story.
was gonna
Because
say I'm gonna be locked into that
yeah,
game
I'll
if he
watch that
goes.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me
Might just
too.
stay up
Because
for it.
yeah, I was gonna say because I want to see if he can. Like I think Jalen Green gives you 20
Mm-hmm.
tonight.
Yeah.
Like if he's healthy enough to go, I think he'll be fine. So I think they will have scoring.
Yeah.
We'll see,
We'll
bro.
see. We'll see. And then on the Grizzlies side for the key storylines, can Cedric Coward keep his hot start, or can Cedric Coward continue his hot start?
Oh, yeah.
He was one of the rookies this past season. I wouldn't say got overlooked, but if you know, we know that the Grizzlies draft really well, but he was one of those guys that kind of was a late bloomer and then got into a better position, started the transfer to was it U of H?
Mhm.
He was transferred to U of H, had a great season, but just didn't really play that much games because he was injured. I think if he keeps this going, bro, he's gonna be a first team all rookie. The way he's
Oh,
been shooting
without a
the ball,
doubt.
I feel like the Grizzlies just do it again. You know what I mean? It was the GG Jacksons,
Developmental.
Jalen Wells, now it's Cedric Coward. They keep proving what I said about their developmental staff, their scouting team, everything behind the scenes that
Very
kind of
good.
keeps the Grizzlies going. I think, Cedric Howard, if he keep this hot start, man, he's gonna be potential rookie of the year type of player. Just what he's been
For,
able to do. Just
for
the
sure.
jump shot
Him
has
and
been
VJ.
knocking down, and just what he could provide on both sides of the ball, being athletic, kind of a forward, so that's our main thing for them. And then can Jaw be better? I think
Yeah.
that's obviously Triple J. Jaw is Jaw's cornerstone pieces that y'all paid, and they're gonna be there for a while. Can he just be consistent? I feel like he's had moments to where he drops 25, and then next game he's dropping 20 or 19. That type of
17. Yeah,
17, like
17. I'm like,
not really getting other people involved as well. Obviously, Cedric Coward's been popping off, but y'all's roster is very thin, so they're gonna need your stars to step up, and Jaw has the capability of doing that. It's just can he do it on a consistent basis right now? And I think
%.
he's been healthy this whole season so far. Started off, so that's an incredible start. But just kind of getting back into the groove. I feel like whenever with Jaw, it's always been his jump shot. Hasn't really been able to knock it down at a consistent rate, so it's kind of hard for him to just always just drive to the rim. I mean, he's been proven that he can, but you
Yeah.
got to open
Yeah.
up your game a little bit. Expand your bag and try to get a consistent jump shot. Obviously that pull up jumper is there every now and then, but I think it's if he can start knocking down his threes and just capitalize on getting to the mid range and pull ups a little bit more, knocking those down. I mean, Ja, we know what Ja could be, bro. It's just if we can. I feel like he started off pretty slow at the beginning of the season, so just wanted to see him get it going a little bit earlier. I think this is gonna be a good one, bro. If JG ends up going, I think might be one of those games that I end up staying up late to watch because I think this could
Yeah,
be a pretty good good matchup.
yeah, it's one of the better ones to close the night. It's like a big total, pretty close spread. So I think it's going to be high scoring and a lot of buckets, a lot of guys getting to their spots. But yeah, man, this is you wanted to add anything else for the people?
Nah,
I think you
man.
played a Wizards.
I think yeah, I play the Wizards. I think Thursday tomorrow. So have that going up. I think that should be a good matchup. You know, Alex Sarr coming off that 31-point game. You know, what Chris Middleton and CJ are able to do for those young guys. I think it's gets
Trey
overlooked
Johnson.
a lot. Trey Johnson playing incredible. I think that was like we were saying, he's probably one of the best scoring, just overall, just kind of all aspects of his game, just looking smooth. But I think it's gonna be a good one, man. I think we end up getting this dub though. Hopefully Chet ends up
I
getting
agree.
back. I don't know if that injury was more so a rest day or playing a back to back. We'll
Yeah,
see what
yeah.
it is, but I think he goes, and I think we end up getting this dub, bro. I think it'll be a good one.
Like it.
But if we're knocking down our threes, I don't think it'll be close. So I think we're due for one of those games where we knock down like 40% of our
Get
three
the threes.
points. Yeah, so I think it's
Yeah,
gonna be
bro.
a good
I'm
one, bro.
I'm excited to watch that one. Watch the Lakers game. I'm about to get here in a second, and yeah, head on out. But yeah, NBA Cup, Halloween, passing out some candy, dress up, have fun, watch some hoops, and yeah, I'll see y'all on the flip. We'll wrap it up.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, if y'all liked and enjoyed this episode of Three Man Weave, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time, man. Peace.
Peace. Come
Three
on, man.
man, three
LA
man, three
forever.
man.